So now I'll be reading chapter 9 from the first book of Enoch. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, the good angels, looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said to one another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, Kings of kings, and God of the ages, the throne of your glory stands unto all the generations of the ages, and your name holy and glorious and blessed unto all the ages. You have made all things and have power over all things, and all things are naked and open in your sight, and you see all things, and nothing can hide itself from you. You see what the Azazel has done, who has taught all unrighteousness on earth and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And Semiaza, to whom you have given authority to bear rule over his associates, and they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended, and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And you know all things before they come to pass, and you see these things, and you do suffer them, and you do not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. Chapter 10. Then said the Most High, the Holy One and Great One, spoke, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him. So the good angel Uriel went to Noah. Go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide yourself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert which is in Dudael, and cast him therein, and placed upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light. And on the day of the great judgment he will be cast into the fire, and heal the earth which the angels have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of man may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin. And to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication. It's talking about the giants. And destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers from among men, and cause them to go out. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle, for length of days will they not have. And no request that they, their fathers, make of you will be granted unto their fathers on their behalf. For they hope to live an eternal life, and that each one of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said unto Michael, go, bind Semiaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, until the day of their judgment and of their consummation, until the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they will be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment and prison in which they will be confined forever. And whosoever will be condemned and destroyed will from then on be bound together with them to the end of all generations, and destroy all the spirits of the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end. And let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it will prove a blessing. The works of righteousness and truth will be planted in truth and joy forevermore. And then will all the righteous escape, and will live until they beget thousands of children, and all the days of their youth and their old age will they complete in peace. And then will the whole earth be tilled in righteousness, and will all be planted with trees and be full of blessing. And all desirable trees will be planted on it, and they will plant vines on it, and the vine which they plant thereon will yield wine in abundance. And as for all the seed which is sown thereon, each measure of it will bear 1,000, and each measure of olives will yield 10 presses of oil. And you will cleanse the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all sin, and from all godlessness, and all the uncleanness that is wrought upon the earth destroy from off the earth. And all the children of men will become righteous, and all nations will offer adoration and will praise me, and all will worship me. And the earth will be cleansed from all defilement, and from all sin, and from all punishment, and from all torment. And I will never again send them upon it from generation to generation and forever. Whew, that was chapter 10. So this is very interesting. This is God talking to the angels. So the good angels in chapter 9 were pleading to God about the evil things happening to humans because of the sins of the fallen angels and the giant children that were wreaking havoc on earth. Okay, so chapter 10 is God's response to the good angels. So they are sent back to earth to take action in response to what is going on. So Uriel is sent to talk to Noah. Okay, so he told Noah, go hide yourself. This is slightly more detailed than the version we have in the book of Genesis in the Bible. And it kind of gives us, it paints us a slightly different picture, as in it was very dangerous out there. There were these monster giant creatures eating humans at this point. Okay, they were crazy. Okay, it was terrifying to live there. So Noah's life could be in danger. So perhaps that's why they said, go hide yourself to Noah. And they informed Noah on what's going to happen, and that his generation has to be preserved, and so on. So an angel was sent to him to talk to him. So sometimes when God talks to people, he sends angels to give that message. Less now than back in the day, because now we have the Holy Spirit, which is like a direct connection to God. You don't need an angel to hear God's message to you. It's like telepathy. And again the Lord said to Raphael, so now another angel, this is Raphael. Uriel was the one sent with the message to Noah. Raphael is a different angel. He was to grab Azazel, the bad angel, by hand and foot, okay, and to place him underground in a desert. So he was to be thrown and hidden and locked up underground in the desert in Dudael. I'm not sure where that is. And to place rough and jagged rocks on top of him. So if there's a desert with a lot of wild rocks all over it, it could be hiding a fallen angel underneath in that desert under the ground. And he is to sit there forever until God grabs him and throws him into the fire. Okay, so when all this planet reaches an end to this human life and there's judgment, then people who believed in God will spend eternity with God, and people who didn't believe in God will be sent to a bad place. And fallen angels and the devil are also sent to a bad place. Okay? And this is what he means, is that this angel will sit there underground, under this desert and under this rock, until he is pulled out at the end and will be thrown into the bad place, cast into the fire. at the judgment time. And then Gabriel, the third good angel, was sent also with a mission, and he is to go against the giant sons of the fallen angels, giant children of the fallen angels, and he is to make them have conflicts among each other so that they get rid of each other, in a sense, because they're a perfect match for each other. Humans could not have done that. Okay, so then we have Michael. So we have Uriel sends a message to Noah. Raphael handles Azazel to place him underground. Gabriel places the giants against each other to remove each other. And then we have we have Michael. I'm losing track of all this. So then we have Michael to go bind Semyaza, the other fallen angel, who asked everybody, all the fallen angels, to make a vow that they will do this bad thing and get wives from humans. So Semyaza was also bound, and it says to bind him for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth. All the fallen angels. Until the day of their judgment. So similar to Azazel, they are to be bound and wait somewhere hidden underground until it's the end, and they will be judged and thrown into a bad place. So it says, in those days they will be led off to the abyss of fire. It's always a fire. Fire is used to purify things. To be tormenting, to be a prison. They will be in that prison forever. That's what it says. And it says, destroy all the spirits of the giant children of the fallen angels, because they have wronged mankind. And then good things will happen when all of that is taken care of. So now what's happening is these giants and the fallen angels were never supposed to be part of the plan. God had an amazing plan that made sense. The whole system worked perfectly. And then the fallen angels came in with their own selfish desires and selfishness, the temptations, lust, and they did something that they knew God would not approve of. And knowing God and everything they knew in all their wisdom, it didn't stop them, which is fascinating. It's horrifying. It's horrible. You'd think they know better, but they still did what they selfishly desired. I assume they were all male, because females would probably care less about that. They were all male who got themselves wives. So it gets more interesting soon, because we learn what happened to the spirits of the fallen angels and to the wives. But let me continue reading through these chapters. It kind of goes in some details before it gets back to some really fascinating parts. Okay, so chapter 11. And in those days I will open the stored chambers of blessing which are in the heaven, so as to send them down upon the earth over the work and labor of the children of men, and truth and peace will be associated together throughout all the days of the world and throughout all the generations of men. That was also about the end of the world, when good things happen to the people who will be with God. Then we move on to chapter 12. Before these things Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden and where he dwelt and what had become of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the holy ones. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty and the King of the ages, and the watchers called me Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, you scribe of righteousness, go declare to the watchers of the heaven, who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. You have wrought great destruction on the earth, and you will have no peace nor forgiveness of sin. And inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children, the murder of their beloved ones will they see, and over the destruction of their children will they lament, and will make supplication unto eternity, but mercy and peace will you not attain. Chapter 13. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, you will have no peace. A severe sentence has gone out against you to put you in bonds, and you will not have toleration nor requests granted to you because of the unrighteousness which you have taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which you have shown to man. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they besought me to draw up a petition for them, that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. For from that point forward they could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven, for shame of their sins for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regard to their request that they showed, that they should have forgiveness and length. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of the west of Hermon. I read their petition until I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me, and I saw visions of chastisement, and a voice came bidding me to tell it to the sons of heaven and reprimand them. And when I awaked, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping, in Abel's jail, which is between Lebanon and Senneser, with their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness and to reprimand the heavenly watchers. And that was chapter 13. And now you see how they come back to reality. They snap out of their lust. They worry for their children because now they have that parental feeling which they didn't have before. Before they only had lust for women. So now they regret what happened. They're terrified, but it's too late. And this is something that should strike fear in people too. At some point it will be too late. And it is better to make peace with God now than to wait and maybe 2 minutes later it's too late. This is not something to play around with. This is something to respect and take seriously. First and foremost, you gotta have fear of God. He is not something to play around with. Nothing matters more than that. Have fear of God, make peace with God, obey Him. So I'm going to read chapter 14, but first and foremost I'm going to mention that when the fallen angels had children with human wives, in a sense their children became part human, which gave them rights over the heritage of humans on the planet. So they could then take leadership over humans, become one of them, and take over what naturally belongs to human. Now it's taken over by the giants because they're part humans. So they become heirs of the human, whatever we have on this planet. Heirs and leaders because nobody could fight against them, but that didn't work out because they were completely reckless and beastly in a sense. But that is one thing, the being born human, at least part human, gives the creature some sort of human right, or it's some sort of tricky manipulation to try to do that. remember those words. Chapter 14. The book of the words of righteousness and of the reprimand of the eternal watchers, in accordance with the command of the Holy Great One in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with a tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men to converse therewith and understand with the heart. So this is Enoch talking and saying all these things. He's keeping a record of these things. As he has created and given to man the power of understanding the words of wisdom, so has he created me also and given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared like this, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has been finally passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted unto you, and from now on you will not ascend into heaven unto all eternity, and in bonds of the earth the decree has gone out to bind you all for the days of the world. So all these fallen angels are bound here on earth, right here, right now. They're right here, right now, underground, bound in darkness. And that previously you will have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and you will have no pleasure in them, but they will fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf will not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writing which I have written. And the vision was shown to me like this. Behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightnings sped towards me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. Yeah, that sounds like a portal. Something. And I went in until I drew high to a wall which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to affright me. And I went into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Very interesting. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into the house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got hold upon me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face, and I beheld a vision. And behold, there was a second house, greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire, different one. And in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings and the path of the stars, and its ceiling also was flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a lofty throne. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun, and there was the vision of cherubim. A lofty throne with wheels. That were shining. Sounds like a floating machine. And from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look thereon. Flaming fire under the throne, the machine with wheels that were shining. And the great glory sat thereon, and his raiment, the clothing, shone more brightly than the sun, and as whiter than any snow. None of the angels could enter and could behold his face by reason of the magnificence and glory, and no flesh could behold him. The flaming fire was around him, and a great fire stood before him, and none around could draw nigh him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counselor. And the most holy ones who were nigh to him did not live by night, nor depart from him. And until then I had been prostrate on my face, trembling, and the Lord called me with his own mouth and said to me, Come here, Enoch, and hear my word. And one of the holy ones came to me and waked me, and he made me rise up and approach the door, and I bowed my face downwards. So this is Enoch somehow. I'm gonna tell you real quick. Enoch says he went to pray for the fallen angels, as the fallen angels had requested of him, and it says that he fell asleep, right? It says that as he was praying, he fell asleep, and I don't know where it went, but it was somewhere in here. It says, I went to pray for them until I fell asleep, and then a dream came to me and some visions I saw in my dream. And then I woke up and I came to the fallen angels to tell them what I saw in my dream. So this experience that he's describing here, him going through a portal, seeing a crystal house, and then going to another fire portal and seeing God, those are things he experiences in his dream or in his spirit. He didn't physically do that. Did he travel in his spirit? Maybe. Was it just a dream? Maybe. But they were actual messages he got from God. They were actual encounters he had. Okay, so in chapter 15, continuing, he gets the answer from God. So it says, And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch, you righteous man and scribe of righteousness, approach here and hear my voice. And go say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent you to intercede for them, You should intercede for men, and not men for you. Why have you left the high holy and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons? And though you are holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. And, as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also who die and perish. Therefore have I given them wives also, that they might impregnate them, and beget children by them, that nothing might be wanting to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for the spiritual ones of the heaven in heavens is their dwelling. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh will be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth will be their dwelling. So their children will now become the demons that hunt this earth. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. There will be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits will they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven will be their dwelling, but as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth will be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits will rise up against the children of man, and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. Even after the giants die, their spirits continue to hunt humans and cause all kinds of issues throughout history to this day. Chapter 16. From the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the souls of whose flesh the spirits having gone out will destroy without incurring judgment, therefore will they destroy until the day of the consummation, the great judgment in which the age will be consummated over the watchers and the godless, will be wholly consummated. And now, as to the watchers who have sent you to intercede for them, who had been previously in heaven, say to them, You have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones, and these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the women. And through these mysteries women and men work much evil on earth. Say to them, therefore, you have no peace. Chapter 17. So the things the fallen angels knew that were so cool and mysterious and they taught to humans that humans know to this day, that's witchcraft. That's, God says, that's worthless. That's small little tricks here and there. That is not the real knowledge God has. That is nothing compared to what God knows and can do. And we shouldn't think too highly of ourselves or be too arrogant with everything we know or have achieved, because this is nothing.